An alliance is a group of individuals that work in tandem to combine their votes and strategically eliminate targets in the reality TV show Survivor. Today we'll be discussing the top 5 in season order.
The people that you're forming alliances with now and the people that you're getting along with now are the people that are going to have to turn around and vote you.
When we talk about Survivor alliances, one name always comes first: the Tagi Four. Richard, Rudy, Sue and Kelly, the original power block that changed the game forever. Back in 2000, no one really knew what Survivor was going to be. 16 strangers marooned on an island, competing for $1 million, but the idea of alliances was practically unheard of. Most people thought it would be about survival skills, challenge wins, or maybe popularity, but Richard teamed up with Navy SEAL Rudy Bosch, truck driver Sue Hawk, and river guide Kelly Wigglesworth, and together they formed the very first Survivor alliance, the Tagi Four. When the tribes merged into Ratna, the Tagi Four stuck together, while the opposing Pagong tribe still thought Survivor was about voting as individuals. Tagi voted strategically, in unison, and picked them off one by one. This strategy is now called Pagonging. It became the blueprint for Survivor strategies everywhere. It showed that unity and voting blocks could crush even the strongest competitors. The Tagi Four isn't just an alliance, it's the alliance. Every Survivor strategy, every alliance name, and even every voting block that's come since traces back to what Richard, Rudy, Sue, and Kelly did in Borneo. They turned Survivor from a social experiment into the cutthroat strategic game we know today. And that's why more than 20 years later, the Tagi Four remains one of the most renowned alliances in Survivor history. Not only were these individuals groundbreaking in their design of the alliance, but each individual member was also a great television character, with all four, understandably, returning since their initial season. Rudy and Kelly were the heroic underdogs, while Sue and Rich were more so considered villainous due to being the figureheads of the morally ambiguous quote-unquote alliance at the time. While it's not the flashiest, it remains the founding father of all other alliances in Survivor, including all those on this list.
The fact that we as the Aitu Four have made it this far, it's an amazing accomplishment. It's amazing.
When we talk about Survivor's most iconic alliances, one group always stands tall: the Aitu Four. Ozzy, Yul, Becky and Sandra pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in Survivor history, flipping the game on its head in Cook Islands. Ozzy, Yul, Becky and Sandra all came into the swap as part of the underdog Aitu tribe, which quickly looked like it was doomed after Candice and Jonathan abandoned them at the mutiny. They were outnumbered, underestimated, and facing a powerhouse Rero tribe with the numbers advantage. But what made the Aitu tribe special was their unity. They were reduced to just 4 members against 8 Rero. Instead of collapsing, they dug in and refused to quit. This is where the legend of the Aitu Four really begins. Against all odds, they started winning challenge after challenge, keeping themselves alive long enough to make the merge. Led by Ozzy's insane physical dominance in the water and Yul's calm, collected leadership, they became a force. At the beginning, the numbers were 5-4 in favour of Rero. By Survivor logic, that should have been the end, but Yul's possession of the super-powered hidden immunity idol, which could have been played after the votes were read, flipped everything. Yul used the idol strategically to sway Jonathan Penner to flip from Rero to Aitu, giving the Aitu Four the opening they needed. From there, they picked off the Rero majority one by one in an incredible underdog run. So what makes the Aitu Four so impressive? Well, they came back from an 8-4 disadvantage at the merge, which is one of the biggest turnarounds in Survivor history. Also, unlike many alliances, the Aitu Four stayed loyal all the way, sticking together against overwhelming odds. Moreover, all 4 alliance members made it to the final 4, an achievement rarely seen in Survivor, especially with this being 12 seasons after the previously mentioned Borneo.
So, if Jason, Parvati, Natalie, Alexis, and myself will vote Ozzy, Ozzy's going, Idol's going,
When Survivor fans talk about iconic alliances, one name always comes up: the Black Widow Brigade. Parvati, Sri, Amanda, Natalie, and Alexis created one of the most ruthless, legendary alliances Survivor has ever seen. In Survivor Micronesia, fans versus favourites, the women realised early on at the merge that they could flip the game if they banded together. Survivor had seen alliances before, but nothing like this. Parvati Shallow was the underestimated flirt, Sri Fields was the strategic genius, Amanda Kimmel brought loyalty and social savvy, Natalie Bolton added ruthlessness, and Alexis Jones contributed strong bonds. Together, they became the Black Widow Brigade. The name says it all. They lured players in and then struck them at the perfect time. Their strategy wasn't strength in numbers, it was manipulation, social charm, and perfect timing that made them so deadly. So, what did they accomplish that made them so iconic? Well, they took down the men one by one. They flipped the game post-merge by systematically eliminating the male threats, leaving the women in power. They blindsided Ozzy, the ultimate fan favourite, taken out with an idol in his pocket, and one of the most shocking blindsides ever, convincing Eric to give up immunity. Maybe the single most infamous moment in Survivor history. The Black Widows manipulated Eric Reichenbach into handing over his immunity necklace, only to immediately vote him out. And controlling the narrative, every big move in the post-merge revolved around them. They weren't just surviving, they were dictating the game. The Black Widow Brigade wasn't just an alliance, they were a phenomenon. They showed that women could dominate Survivor with strategy, charm, and cunning, not just brute strength. They pulled off blindsides so shocking that fans still talk about them today, more than even a decade later. And their legacy lives on. Every all-female alliance that's formed gets compared to the Black Widows. They didn't just play the game, they redefined it. This video is sponsored by Idle Plays, a way to play Survivor challenges from the comfort of your own home through beautifully replicated 3D printed designs, allowing for ease of access. If you have a Survivor superfan friend, or if you want to compete in challenges to see how you would do on the show, make sure to purchase one of these items, as the store will only be open until Wednesday. And if you want to support creators like myself, make sure to go check out the Creator Camp, where we have picked our own personal favourite puzzles, put them into our boxes. However, objectively, as we all know, mine's the best.
Natalie's a good-hearted little soul, one that's loyal, and I don't like to see someone corrupt my soldiers.
When it comes to iconic alliances in Survivor, you can't ignore StealthRUs. Born in Survivor Redemption Island, this alliance wasn't just about strategy, it was about Boston Rob building one of the most loyal, disciplined armies Survivor has ever seen. In Season 22, Boston Rob Mariano returned for a fourth shot at the game. After years of being a big target, Rob knew he needed absolute control, so he created StealthRUs, a tongue-in-cheek alliance complete with codenames like the Specialist, the Undercover Brother, and the Assassin. And I'll give you one guess who decided their names, but it was part strategy, part comedy, and part psychological warfare. What made StealthRUs so effective was their unity. Unlike most alliances, especially at this time, that fractured under pressure, this group stuck with Rob throughout thick and thin. Rob set the pace from day one. He controlled information, dictated every vote, and even found an idol. The alliance trusted him so completely that they followed his lead without even questioning it. StealthRUs systematically took out anyone outside of their core circle, from physical threats to social wildcards, until Rob's path to the end was clear. StealthRUs is iconic because it just showed how powerful one alliance could be under the control of the right leader. It wasn't flashy blindsides or constant betrayals, it was discipline, loyalty, and Rob's iron grip on the game. If you were to ask any Survivor fan for the most dominant alliance in Survivor history, this would likely be the #1 answer, thus cementing their placement on this list. Fans still laugh about the codenames and Philip's antics, but strategically, this was one of the most airtight alliances Survivor has ever seen. They helped Rob cement his legacy as one of the greatest players of all time. Now, the StealthRUs alliance did return 4 seasons later in Caramoan, with it being, of course, Philip who advocated for it, and whilst it had Andrea in the alliance, it contained far less individuals than originally made it up. It was also less dominant, as while they got out Corinne, then Michael, Philip was idled out at the final 10, killing any further discussion about the StealthRUs alliance name.
I've been a cop for quite a while, and there is a look that cops have, and Tony's got it.
When it comes to Survivor alliances, some are built on loyalty, some on strategy, and some on pure chaos. But one of the most iconic duos in Survivor history is the CopsRUs alliance between Tony Vlachos and Sarah Lucina. From betrayal in Cagayan to dominance in Winners at War, their story is one of the most compelling arcs. Tony and Sarah first met in Survivor Cagayan. Both were police officers, one was an inspiring construction worker, and they instantly bonded over their shared profession and dubbed themselves CopsRUs. The idea was simple: trust each other, protect each other, and run the game. But Tony being Tony, chaos was always around the corner. When Sarah became the swing vote at the merge, Tony flipped on her, blindsiding her and sending her to the jury. Their alliance and friendship seemed dead in the water. Fast forward 6 years later. Against all odds, both returned for Winners at War. Tony obviously won the aforementioned Survivor Cagayan, beating one of the best all-newbie casts in Survivor history, and Sarah won Season 34, defeating true Survivor game-changers like Sierra Dawn Thomas. CopsRUs became one of the most dominant alliances of Survivor. They were the heart of the powerful Lions Alliance, dictating votes and pulling off blindsides left and right. For much of the game, they acted like co-pilots, balancing Tony's unpredictability with Sarah's social finesse, and together they made it all the way to the final four against the best cast strategy-wise. So honestly, this alliance has many boons. Their story spans two of the most beloved seasons, from betrayal to redemption, making it a unique Survivor alliance that spans 12 seasons. The CopsRUs alliance is iconic because it tells the full Survivor story: trust and betrayal, redemption and domination. They're proof that alliances can evolve, that enemies can become allies again, and that two very different playstyles can combine into something truly special. From Tony's win in Cagayan to a second victory in Winners at War, CopsRUs left their mark as one of the greatest Survivor duos. If you want to join my alliance of rogues, hit that subscribe button and comment down below what your favourite alliance is. Nevertheless, have a good day. Peace!